What's up, Street Talks? The Eric from the Eric from Street Photography blog. Currently nicely caffeinated with an espresso. I want to use this opportunity to give you some practical, simple photography tips. So the first tip is to photograph with one eye open or one eye closed. So the way the camera sees the world is just through one lens. And it kind of flattens the perspective of the world. So if you want to better understand how to frame and compose scenes, my recommendation is make photos with one eye open or one eye closed. And even before you bring up the camera to your eye or use the LCD screen, whatever it may be, just practice closing one eye and looking at the world and seeing, okay, these are the edges of my frame. This is where it's clean. This is where it's overlapped. This is where it's not overlapped. Another practical tip too is if you want to better compose scenes and not get distracted by details, if you're like me, a glasses wearer, take off your glasses. And if a scene works blurry because your eyes are out of focus, or if you have good eyes, if you just squint your eyes and intentionally make the scene blurry, you could better compose your images. So the assignment is try to keep one eye closed while you're shooting to better see, to learn like your camera, to see the world like your camera does. Tip 2, small thumbnail test. If a photograph works as a small thumbnail, it probably works as a big photograph. So whenever I look through my images, I have a practice of looking at my photos on the back of my LCD screen as contact sheets, meaning small little image previews of my photos. The benefit of looking at your photos as small thumbnails is that it helps you better see the composition. And when you see photos as small thumbnails, it shows you that often the small little details you notice while you're shooting is probably not going to be viewable to the viewer. And the sad reality is most of us are uploading photos to Instagram or Facebook, whatnot. 99% of your audience is probably looking at your photos through a 4-inch, 5-inch screen. So they're not going to see all the small details, but I think you can use that to your advantage. Try to make sure your photos work as small thumbnails. So practical ways you could do this. So if you're shooting on your smartphone, don't full screen all your images while flipping through them. Quickly scroll through them and see them as small thumbnails. If you're like me and use Lightroom, use the hotkey G, grid view or gallery view to see your images as small thumbnails to see which one of your best photos are. Or what you could also do is on the back of your camera, when you're looking at your photos through your LCD screen, you could zoom out to make your images small thumbnails to better see the compositions. And of course, you still want to full screen your images if you're not sure, but at least your first pass looking through your images, I recommend looking at them as small thumbnails. And so the assignment is, the next time you're out shooting, make a bunch of photos and you go home. The first time you look through your images, don't look at them full screen, look at them as small thumbnails. Tip 3, start with a simple background. The biggest problem we have as photographers is that we get distracting backgrounds, the messy edges. If you start off with a simple, clean background, then add your subjects afterwards, you'll probably make a stronger photograph. And so I learned this concept through the photographer Richard Avedon, who shot most of his photos of subjects against simple white backgrounds. And the reason I like to shoot people against this simple white backgrounds is that it puts more focus on the subject. Of course, there are certain images where you want more context in the background, but if you want to make more simple photos, just start off with a simple background. So you could so when I'm out making photos, essentially I'm more looking at backgrounds than the subject. Or if I see an interesting subject, I quickly look at the background and think to myself, how can I position myself or how can I move my camera to have the subject in front of a simple background? Or if you see somebody interesting on the streets, you could just say, oh, excuse me, sir, I like your look, whatever. Do you mind if you stand against, this simple brick background because it'll make a better image? And most people don't really mind you moving around. And so the assignment is start with a simple white or black wall, then add your subject afterwards. And in street photography, they call this the fishing technique. Look for a nice composition in the background afterwards and just wait for the right person to enter. Tip 4, clean edges. When you're shooting with your smartphone, your LCD screen on your digital camera or your viewfinder, whatever it may be, the human eye, we're not like dragonflies. You can't look at 100% of the frame all the time. We tend to look at the inner 25% of the frame with a tunnel vision. If you want to become a better photographer, when you're shooting, look at the edges. Try to make the edges as clean as possible. Don't cut off certain shapes or forms, and just don't worry about what's in the center of the frame. In general, you'll make better photographs. So the assignment is don't look at the center of the frame when you're shooting. Tip 5. The biggest issue we have as photographers is knowing which photos to share, which photos not to share. My personal recommendation is imagine if you saw that photo of yours in somebody else's feed. Would you reshare it? Would you like it? Would you comment on it? Or would you like other people's photos? To us, our photos are like our children, and no matter how ugly our children is, we think they're also beautiful. They also, in psychology, call this the IKEA effect. If you build your own IKEA furniture, you think it's worth a lot more than it actually is. And that's the biggest issue that many of us, myself included, face, is that just because we make a photo doesn't mean it's a good photo. So what I try to do is just imagining whether I saw this photo on somebody else's feed, would I like the photo? And the best compliment you can give yourself is when you look at your own photo and you're amazed that you took this photo. So this photo, for example, I was just at a coffee shop here in Hanoi, saw a lady coming in and out delivering coffee. She's like one of the waitresses there. And I saw the silhouette of her behind that translucent glass window. And I took about 4 or 5 photos as she's entering and exiting. And for me, this is just my favorite photo. I just love the mystery. And the cherry on top of the small detail I really like is her hand in the bottom right side of the frame, which is a small detail. So if I saw this in someone else's feed, I'd be like, fuck yeah, that's a great photo. So the assignment is only upload photos that you would like if they belong to somebody else. Tip 6, when in doubt, throw it out. Things which rhyme tend to stick in our memory, and we think that it's more real. I learned this from my mom. If you see something in the fridge and you're not sure whether it's good or not, when in doubt, throw it out. So treat your photography the same way as that. If you look at your photo and you're not sure whether it's a good photo or not, it's probably not a good photo. I think a photo should either be a fuck yeah or a no. And I think this is also a good life decision-making strategy is if somebody offers you a job or some sort of commercial gig or someone wants to invite you to a party or whatnot, the best way is to follow your gut. If you have a lukewarm or tepid response where you're kind of like, I'm not sure if I like it or not, if I want to do it or not, that should be a no. But if you hear something or see a photo or whatnot, you're like, that's so awesome, I want to do it, and you feel your enthusiasm, your passion, that's the best way to live life, in my opinion. So think about your photos. If your photo is a maybe, you're not sure whether it's good or not, I'm sorry, but it's not a good photo. So you're going to have to just let it go. And the last practical tip is photograph hand gestures. One of our biggest issues is that we don't like to, sorry, let me take a step back. Many of our photos are lacking emotion and soul. The best way to capture more emotion and soul, a simple strategy, is photographing hand gestures. Many of us communicate through non-verbal language, meaning we communicate through our hand gestures, through our body language. And so try to photograph hand gestures. Don't just photograph people's hands by the side. Practical ways you could do this, you could just ask the subject, say, hey, can you put your hand on your chin, or can you put your fingers together, or, you know, more natural ways you could do this. Like, oh, excuse me, sir, I love your glasses. Where do you buy your glasses? And say, oh, these guys, and they touch your glasses. Or, oh, excuse me, sir, I love your hair. You know, where'd you get your hair done? And then you start brushing your hair, and then the person will start to respond. Or if you're out shooting street photography, don't photograph people with their hands by the side. Photograph people with their hands blocking the sun or picking their nose or whatever it may be. So the assignment is, if you stop somebody on the streets or you photographing your loved one, just ask them to do some sort of hand gesture, something with their hands. And last but not least, when in doubt, just shoot it. So follow the Nike logo, just do it, but our motto as photographers is just shoot it. When in doubt, just shoot it. If you're not sure it's going to be a good photo or not, just shoot it. If you don't know how to compose a scene, don't think about the composition, just shoot it. I think we should separate our shooting and our determination whether the photo is good or not into 2 phases. The shooting phase, turn off your brain, just shoot it, follow your gut. And then when you go home and you sit in front of your computer or you're reviewing your images, then maybe it's a chance to use more of your brain. So once in doubt, just shoot it, just shoot it, just shoot it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Peace out.